Dear students, today we will start another unit which is endocrine disorders. So the first topic which we want to discuss in that particular unit is congenital hypothyroidism. So details about congenital hypothyroidism we can see. Actually, the hypothyroidism in the word itself it is very clear. It is the inadequate thyroid hormone production. And when it is happening in a newborn infants, now the term will be congenital hypothyroidism. And initially we use the term cretinism, but now it is not at all acceptable, and we use congenital hypothyroidism for the condition with the thyroid hormone deficiency in children, like in newborn infants. So initial term is cretinism. Now we are not accepting that term. Okay, so that's why we are using congenital hypothyroidism, that term. And it is associated with either congenital absence of a thyroid gland or the inability of the thyroid gland to secrete thyroid hormone. So it is a congenital defect. Maybe the thyroid gland is absent, or the thyroid gland is not able to secrete adequate amount of thyroid hormone. Both can lead to congenital hypothyroidism, and it can occur because of an anatomic defect in the gland, an inborn error of thyroid metabolism, or iodine deficiency. So these are the main causes of congenital hypothyroidism. Another risk factors which is contributing to this particular disorder or disease is multiple and premature births. So twins, triplets or quadruplets. When the multiple pregnancy occurs, there is increased chance of getting children with congenital hypothyroidism. And if there is premature birth and iodine status of mother and also the baby, these all are some of the contributing factors of congenital hypothyroidism. Next, we can see the pathophysiology. So, during the development itself, what all things are happening to the thyroid gland and how it is progressing into congenital hypothyroidism, that we can see in detail. So the thyroid gland develops from the buccopharyngeal cavity of the embryo, and it is occurring between 4 to 10 weeks of gestation. So before the mother is aware that she is pregnant, this buccopharyngeal cavity from that thyroid gland starts developing. And the thyroid arises from the fourth branchial pouches and ultimately ends up as a bilobed organ in the neck. So this is the development of the thyroid gland, what happens inside the uterus. And by 10 to 11 weeks of gestation, the fetal thyroid is capable of producing thyroid hormone. So by 10 to 11, even it is starting by 4 to 10 weeks, it gets its production by 10 to 11 weeks gestation, and the fetal thyroid is producing thyroid hormone by 18 to 20 weeks of gestation. Blood levels of T4 have reached term levels. So before 20 weeks itself, actually 40 weeks of gestation, and by 18 to 20 weeks itself, the thyroid gland hormone T4 will be reaching its optimum level, which is required by a term baby. The thyroid gland uses tyrosine and iodine to manufacture T4 and triiodothyronine, T3 and T4. And inborn errors of thyroid metabolism can result in congenital hypothyroidism in children with anatomically normal thyroid glands. So, if there is some abnormality in the anatomically any abnormality, definitely it will leads to congenital hypothyroidism. And if there is any abnormality which is helping in the production of thyroid hormone, that is the tyrosine and iodine metabolism and and the production of thyroid gland hormone, can also leads to a normal anatomical thyroid gland can decrease its production. Then T4 is the primary thyronin produced by the thyroid gland. Only 10 to 40% of circulating T3 is released from the thyroid gland. So this is the pathophysiological changes and it is continued. And T3 is the primary mediator of the biological effects of thyroid hormone and does so by interacting with a specific nuclear receptor. Receptor abnormalities can also result in thyroid hormone resistance. So T3 is having biological effects on our body and it acts on some receptors on our body, and if there is some abnormality in the receptor sides also, it can lead to thyroid hormone deficiency and child may go for congenital hypothyroidism. The major carrier proteins for circulating thyroid hormones are thyroid binding globulin, thyroid binding prealbumin, and albumin. So, in infants born with low levels of thyroid binding globulin or TBPA or albumin, again it can lead to deficiency states, and there will be low T4 levels but are physiologically normal. Familial congenital TBG deficiency, thyroid binding globulin deficiency also can occur, and X-linked recessive or autosomal recessive condition also can be there. So till now what we discussed is one thing, anatomical defect can lead to congenital hypothyroidism. Second one, if there is any abnormality in the metabolism which is happening in the thyroid gland to produce our hormones by tyrosine and iodine, again it can lead to congenital hypothyroidism. And again what happens is, the third reason is some receptors on which T3 is acting. If that receptors are not functioning, again it can lead to congenital hypothyroidism. And there are some carrier proteins which the thyroid hormones, that is TBG, TBPA and albumin. So again any abnormality with these or proteins, again it can lead to congenital hypothyroidism. So this is very important. Only single reason is not there. Any of these four reasons can lead to congenital hypothyroidism. Next we can see the statistics and incidences of the condition. It is the most common neonatal endocrine disorder. So historically thyroid dysgenesis was thought to account for approximately 80% of the cases. So the first reason, that is dysgenesis or agenesis of the thyroid gland, is the 80% of the cases it may be there, and remaining 20% is maybe because of metabolism abnormality, receptor abnormality or carrier protein abnormality. And increased incidence of congenital hypothyroidism is observed in twins. Twin births are approximately 12 times as likely to have congenital hypothyroidism as singletons. That's already we have discussed regarding the risk factors. And usually only one twin is hypothyroid, but a common in utero exposure can cause hypothyroidism in both. And most studies of congenital hypothyroidism suggest that female to male ratio of 2:1. So this is the statistics and incidence of this condition. So 80%, the majority of congenital hypothyroidism happens because of dysgenesis of thyroid gland, anatomical defect in the thyroid gland. Next we can see the clinical manifestation. The physical findings of hypothyroidism may or may not be present at birth. So initially when you are seeing a child with a newborn with this disorder, it may not be identifiable easily. So decreased activity can be there. Often affected infants are described as good babies because they rarely cry and they sleep most of the time. So we will think that okay, it is a good baby and every time he is sleeping and not disturbing the mother or other caregiver. So it may be the one of the initial manifestation of the newborn, that is decreased activity. The second is large anterior fontanelle. A large anterior fontanelle is mostly found in infants with congenital hypothyroidism with a delayed closure. Again, there will be poor feeding and weight gain. A child with congenital hypothyroidism mostly sleeps and rarely feeds, resulting in poor weight gain. Then small stature or poor growth. There is a delay in the development of children with congenital hypothyroidism with poor growth as one of the findings. And next is a jaundice. The yellow coloration of the skin and sclera especially in newborns, we can see the color sclera. With jaundice, it's the result of accumulation of unconjugated bilirubin, and this is some of the manifestations of patient with the congenital hypothyroidism. So I will stop here and we will continue in the next video.